Alright, guys, so we're going to go over the quotes that I did a while back. I started doing. I started doing these quote videos just to kind of express a lot of things that I guess are just hard to. This is going to be kind of a deep video. I'm going to do each one individually so it's not just one long video. Because it's going to be kind of boring, so this is going to be kind of a long series. This will be itself a long video, so get comfortable. To be perfectly honest with you, this is just something that I did to just express, I guess, how I was feeling for the most part. And a lot of these quotes are just good. I've always saved good quotes by different people. There's different sources. I got most of these. 90% were just online. Some of them were just from Google searches. Some of them I knew from other sources and decided to write them down. So without me blabbering, let's just get right into it. So it's going to be an explanation of why I chose each one of these into the video. So starting with the first one, I would give anything to be the hand of justice, the feeling of doing the world a favor, and getting rid of the evil in the world that's intoxicating. That was something that I said a long time ago. It was just something that I feel in today's society. Just to do the right thing and to get out there and to just set the world right was just something I was kind of feeling. You know, I wish there was more that you could do, more that I could do. So that's just how I felt about it. The next one is time doesn't heal, but eventually time will kill everything around us. It's really true, and some of these are kind of dark, so be warned. They say that time is the best healer, which I disagree. I think it's not. And it's just saying, pretty as blunt as it is, time is eventually going to kill everything. In time, everything will die. So, yeah, that's about it for that one. The next one that I have here, life is better when you have someone to share it with. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. I just think that it's better when you have someone special in your life, regardless of who it is, to share things. The next one is, I'd rather feel pain than loneliness. What I meant with this one is that in most cases, physical pain will eventually pass. Loneliness, not so much. And I don't know if anyone's caught it for the few people who have watched all the quote videos, but loneliness is a common theme in these. So this one kind of sets the tone for the rest of these. So this one is less of a quote. This is more lyrics from Mackenzie O'Gwyn. I believe that's how you say it. Sorry if I butchered that. These are actually the lyrics from the Tech-N9ne album. This was one of the last songs. I don't remember the track number, but it's essentially just talking about how you shouldn't judge people, and especially in this sense, everybody sins, and you don't have any right to judge people because you're not perfect either. But I just really love this lyric, and I love the song, so I put this one in here. This one is from, obviously, The Walking Dead. Something I noticed, I couldn't find this anywhere online. I actually just, when I was watching The Walking Dead, King Ezekiel, the pessimist looks down, hits his head. The optimist looks up, loses his footing. The realist looks forward and adjusts his path accordingly. I think that that's, again, self-explanatory. Pessimists are always looking at the downside. Optimists are always looking up at things. But I think both are stupid because I've always hated the glass half full, half empty debate because I want to know what it's filled with. And I know that that's getting really kind of specific, but, the pessimist just is not going to help with anything. It's too negative, and then the optimist is just so full of himself that they just think everything's going to go perfectly. And that's why he loses his footing, because he's too busy looking up. The idiot can't see what's in front of him. So a realistic person with common sense is going to look forward and see everything from every angle. And that's how I feel about it. I think that that's what society should really be instead of this negative and positive bull crap. because it's a joke. I'm sorry, I just think that it's a joke. This one, of course, is from Cortana from Halo 2, I believe. Never make a girl promise if you know you can't keep it. That was just something. Well, she's one of my favorite Halo characters, but I just think it stands true. Promises, truth, and lies are also another theme that are through these videos, if anyone didn't catch that. Again, just a good quote. This one I think is actually one of the more popular ones. The most terrible poverty is loneliness and the feeling of being unloved, Mother Teresa. I mean, it's, again, I think it speaks for itself. It's straightforward to the point, and it really is a terrible poverty, because some people feel it harder than others, and it could be worse too. This one is less of a quote. This was from the Divine Comedy. I mainly put this one in here because I'm a huge fan of Dante and Dante's Inferno and all the portrayals that they've done. I've actually read this book, one of the earlier versions, and it kind of says, so in the middle of the journey of our life, I came to myself within a dark wood where the stray way was lost. There's different translations to this, but to this, it means to me, life is going all PG, or you think you know where you're going, but sometimes one day you just, and I do this a lot, you just sit back and it's like, what am I doing? Where am I? And you thought you were going somewhere, but then there's no road to continue on, and you're lost. That's what I get out of this. I put several of Albert Einstein's quotes in here, mainly just because they make a lot of sense, and I find them to be true. This one, I don't know what weapons will be used in World War III, but in World War IV we'll be using sticks and stones, because in all honesty, I mean, it may be true, with all the technology we have, and if we end up blowing ourselves up, or whatever the case may be, we, may very well go back to hitting each other with sticks. So another one by Albert Einstein: if you want to live a happy life, tie it to a goal, not to people or objects. And that's just saying, I want to get this awesome job, and that's a goal. You don't tie that being happy with material crap like a sports car or some supermodel or some nonsense like that. Again, I think for the most part it's self-explanatory. So this one was from The Darkness 2. The main character, Jackie Estacado. This is an Xbox game. You can outrun your fate, but you sure as hell gotta try. The context of this was in the main storyline, but it's just, I mean, again, I'm gonna say this a lot, straight to the point. In the context he was using it was different, but I think it's important too, because sometimes you can't change fate, but no reason you can't try, right? Okay, so the next one, I got some comments on this one. The only thing in life that doesn't change is that things change. Now, I heard this on South Park from Eric Cartman, but I'm fairly certain that this quote has been said before. I'm not 100%. That's why I put Eric Cartman /unknown. I don't really know who said it. I did some research and I couldn't find a solid, reliable source of where it came from. But this is just so true. The only thing in life that doesn't ever, no matter what happens, ever change is that something changes. Everything changes. The fact that everything changes is the only constant. And I think someone actually said that more or less. But that's something that I've learned growing up and living in this wonderful world. But nothing ever stays the same. Bottom line. So this one, Detective Dale Spooner, played by Will Smith in iRobot. Does believing you're the last sane man on the planet make you crazy? Because if that's the case, maybe I am. Again, in the context, it was more about the movie and the situation this actor was going through. But sometimes I still think it's like, am I the only one that's seeing this crap? Am I the only one that sees things for what they are? And does that make me crazy? Well, if that's the case, maybe I am crazy. So this one's kind of a long one. She wasn't around a lot when I was a kid. And when she was, she could only stay a short time. Seems like she always had somewhere else to be, something important to do. And when she left, she wouldn't say goodbye to me. Instead, she always told me never say goodbye. If you don't say goodbye, you aren't really gone, you just aren't here right now. Agent Carolina. This is from Red vs. Blue. It's an internet series starring in the Halo games. Again, the context was kind of out of place. She was talking to one of the other characters about her actual parents. But it just makes a lot of sense because somebody who's always away, you know, don't ever say goodbye. You're not leaving, you're just not there right now. It was a good quote. I included this one in. So these are again lyrics from a band called Walls of Jericho. I don't really know too much about the band. I don't think that they've been together for a while. I'm not 100% sure. I have 2 of their albums. The lyrics, I did edit these a little so it made more sense because these were actually repeated in the song, how some songs do. We were sold a promise of a better tomorrow. We were told that our choices were our own. Promised the opportunity of a lifetime. Deceived we could be all we could be. F the American dream. And I'm honestly not 100% sure how to pronounce her name, but that's her name at the bottom right. And this says to me that the American dream is a lie. It's a joke. Everybody else lives American dreams except real Americans. And this can get a little political, so I'm not going to go into all that. But this quote is in here because of that. The American dream is something that the government and everyone in high power dangle at the end of a fishing hook and tell everybody, this is all you have to do. Like, oh yeah, we'll promise, you know, we'll fix the problems and tomorrow will be better. Are your choices of who and what you vote for is your own. And of course, you know, oh, you can be all you want to be, and, you know, this is the American dream. Well, this is basically, you know, saying that that's a lie. Okay, so the next one here we have by Ned Vizzini. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. I didn't want to wake up. I was having a much better time asleep, and that's really sad. It was like a reverse nightmare. Like when you wake up from a nightmare, you're so relieved. I woke up into a nightmare. I also forgot to mention some of the background pictures that I picked, I think just fit the quote. I did forget to mention that. On some of these, not all of them. So this one, for, I guess, the ones who are not as prone to understanding like the cryptic messages, I think this is straightforward. Again, it could just be me, but it's simply saying, you know, when you're asleep, you know, you're resting, and, you know, you can dream about anything, but it's just, life is just such a nightmare. It's waking up into a nightmare. It's because, I mean, it's plain and simple. I think it's just more putting it because, I mean, life blows. That's plain and simple. This is one of my, I think, favorite quotes from any form, on any form of media. I believe this was Rise of the Tomb Raider. All the Tomb Raider games have so many names now, I can't even remember. The character's name was Conrad Roth, and I don't remember the exact context, but sacrifice is a choice you make, loss is a choice made for you. I think that that's pretty safe to say that everyone should know that at some point, but in the game, this was something that came up. I believe Laura was trying to save somebody, and somebody died, and it really is true because if you choose to sacrifice something, that's a choice that you make, but you can't control the loss of someone else's life, or someone dies, you can't control that. That's a choice made for you. But I've always thought, too, sometimes your sacrifice could be someone else's loss, or your loss could be the result of someone else's sacrifice. The picture here is a cosplay. The cosplayers were not named. but this was perfect for the same scenario. This one, of course, from the Dark Knight series. Madness, as you know, is like gravity. All it takes is a little push. I just like this one because, you know, that's all it takes. I mean, just that one little push that somebody needs to go crazy. Of course, this one from the Constitution. I apologize, not the Constitution. Constitution in the background. Thomas Jefferson, the strongest reason for people to retain the right to bear arms. Last resort, protect themselves from against tyranny of the government. Again, self-explanatory. That's why we have the Second Amendment. Some of the quote videos have presidential type and political type stuff in here, but again, that one's very simple. This is one of my all-time favorite quotes, period. If you've ever spent any amount of time on YouTube, regardless of who you are, guy or girl, you should know who this is. This is Michelle Phan. She was one of the original, I don't want to say OGs, but she was one of the original YouTubers. She started years ago. And she's been on YouTube just doing like makeup tutorials for the longest time. I believe it's been about a year. I'm not 100% sure, but it was a while back now that she quit YouTube pretty much. I recommend you check out her channel. And what I really liked about Michelle Phan is I was subscribed to her for the longest time, and I did watch some of her videos just because. But this was one of the openings to some of her videos, and this was a screenshot of this particular one that she did. And this was the first thing that she said, is that I find that darkness is misunderstood, because without the dark, we would never see the stars. And it fits with what she's doing. She's doing like an alter ego type thing, and I really admire that, because I like to see the darker side of things. I mean, the reality of it is that everything's not unicorns and rainbows like so many people make it act like it is, and it's not. And there's comfort in darkness, there really is. So, best for last for this video. I have a lot of respect for Michelle Phan. I kind of wish she still did YouTube, but at the same time, YouTube has just become nothing but a greedy corporate mess of just awfulness. I mean, don't get me started on the rant on YouTube, but YouTube is nothing but greed now, just consumed by marketing and and all that just greedy stuff. It's plain and simple. It's turned evil, and I have a lot of respect for this woman. In a way, I wish she would come back, but I would never wish that upon anybody at the same time. So, that was the final one, and what I do sometimes with some of these is I do a bonus quote. Now, this wasn't really a quote. This was the last segment to a long poem that was written, from what I understand, it was an Indian girl that was young, but some people said that she had a name, some people don't really know, so again, I just put unknown. She wrote a poem about, I believe it was meth, about being addicted to it. It may have been another drug. It was a while back when I made this and did the research, but the very, very last section of or the last sentence, I should say, of the poem was, "I can bring you more misery than words can tell. Come take my hand, let me lead you to hell." And I think this means it in both figurative and, what am I trying to say, and literal form, is that, and I'm not saying drug users all go to hell, but, you know, you'll go to hell for this kind of thing, but, living like that is hell. It's hell on earth, and massive just drug addiction can just destroy everything. And this was, again, so this was technically last, but this was more of a bonus. There's no background or anything for this one. This was just something I thought was interesting, but it definitely can teach a lesson. So that is part one. I hope you've enjoyed. I hope that kind of helps explain a little if you weren't quite catching the theme for this video. So stick around. We'll get to part two, and we'll see you in the next video.